With the recent release of Legends Z introducing a bunch of new Mega Evolutions, a fan favorite mechanic we have been begging them for years to bring back, we've had Fire Red and Leaf Green ports coming to the Switch for people who want to play old games but aren't a fan of the new games. We've had Pokopia released a week later, a game that takes the focus away from battling and shows love to the Pokemon fans that like Pokemon for what they are and not for how hard they can fire off a Hyper Beam. And finally, for the fans that do love how hard a Pokemon can fire off a Hyper Beam, well, not really, Hyper Beam kind of sucks competitively, we finally have the release of Pokemon Champions about a month later from Fire Red and Leaf Green ports and Pokopia on April 8th. So as we mentioned earlier, we have Pokemon Legends ZA released earlier in October 2025. And while there's a lot of mixed feelings about the game itself, it is still an incredible game and introduces quite a lot of lore, plus a bunch of new Mega Evolutions that we've been begging for. And for the Shiny Hunters out there, it's probably the easiest game to Shiny Hunt ever, to be honest. You can find 5 Shinies in like less than an hour. Next up, in chronological order, we have Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green ports, which is a really cool thing that they did, but would have been even cooler if they hadn't leaked it by accident. It's not a big deal, but the hype would have been so much more exciting if we saw it on the release date of the Pokemon Presents, where they announced it, and then it's like, it releases right after, instead of accidentally leaking it a few weeks earlier on Twitter, and it's like, okay, well now we have to look at this thing in the shop, but we can't actually buy it or play it, but we know it's coming, so it's cool. But I think, in my opinion, it would have been way cooler to see it in the actual Pokemon Presents, and they're like, oh yeah, by the way, you can get it after this trailer, or after this Presents, and it would have been like, what? Oh my god, what? I think that's my opinion, though. That's my opinion, but I think it would have been cooler that way. But anyways, enough of the drama. Fire Red and Leaf Green is an amazing thing for the people who love the original Pokemon games, when it was 2D sprites instead of 3D malls. Pokemon games have also changed hugely from then and now. There's complaints from people saying it's stupid to pay $20 or euros or wherever you're from for the Pokemon ports, since it's pretty much free on emulator. But most people don't want to play Pokemon on their phones, and if they do want to be on the move, the most convenient way to do it would be on a Switch, the legal way, since on a computer you can't really do it on move, and on a phone it's a bit tacky to have those stupid ass buttons in the way, right? And with this, it also shows how much we love that they're doing this. So it might make them do a Heart Gold Soul Silver release port, or a Black and White port, or a remake, or what this and that. By showing them how much we actually buy this, it shows them that this is a good thing for them to keep doing. Next up, we have Pokopia. Unfortunately, I haven't finished the game, so I don't have as much to say on it, but what I can say though is I'm loving the game, and if you don't know anything about me, I am a huge Poke Park fan for the Wii 1 and 2. Now this game is still quite different from Poke Park, but also has some of the elements I love from the game itself. You playing as a Pokemon will always be something that I love doing. That, as well as the fact that we go around making friends with everybody, like the Pokemon around. That's all I've really got to say about it though, as I don't want to spoil, while I also don't know everything since I haven't finished the game. But on to the next thing we have Pokemon Champions. So Pokemon Champions is going to be a new way for competitive Pokemon to be played. So VGC, competitive, the tournaments, all that will be played on Pokemon Champions. And while it's not out yet, it does seem like as long as you transfer Pokemon through Pokemon Home, everything will be smooth sailing compared to, I don't know, some other gotcha mechanic that they have going on. Now we have seen that stat changes will be relatively easy with it costing in-game currency. Now we don't know how hard it will be to obtain this currency, if it's super good or super fucking toxic to have to do it. You have to play 5 times every day, 5 hours a day. We don't know, but I'm gonna guess it's gonna be relatively easy, as they've said is the people who've played the game, you know, Wolfie and all those, have been saying that amount of in-game currency to change the stats is not as high as some other things like the nature, this and that. And for that, you can for the nature, you can kind of just make sure to catch the Pokemon from Pokemon Legends ZA with the proper nature, or like Scarlet and Violet, or whatever game with the proper nature, which is probably easier. Since it's not out yet, I don't have much else to say. Pokemon fans, breathe it in. Enjoy it while you can, because this is the hype content we have until 2027 or until the next Pokemon Presents, as the next Pokemon game we have is Pokemon Winds and Waves at some point in 2027 from what we know. That's all I've got to say. Enjoy it, breathe it in, and peace.